Hi, today I'm reviewing the Lancome Skin Feels Good Tinted Moisturizer. And really quick, I just want to say I purchased all these products with my own money, so you know you can trust my opinion is what I honestly believe. And if you want to help support the channel, click on the Amazon link below before you make your purchase. So this is a product from Lancome that I found is quite similar to another brand, but I'll go into that in a minute. This is a tinted moisturizer from Lancome with an SPF of 23, and this is the full size, which is 1.08 ounces, and it sells for $35. And they've got a variety of colors. I have 025 W beige. They've got about 10 colors or so it's a little bit easier to find a color that can match you unless you're in the darker range of the skin tone, scale. So I know there's struggles there finding good matches, but this one is more of a moisturizer that's slightly forgiving. So if it's not a perfect match, you can usually blend enough to make it work. But I'm bummed that they did it as an SPF 23 because the gold standard that you should be wearing every day is 30, and 23 isn't quite. It's better than nothing, but you're better off with 30. So I wish they would have bumped it up a little bit. But they have a chemical SPF in this one, octanoxate. I don't know how to pronounce it, but just one chemical SPF. And this one doesn't have the SPF scent like a lot of other chemical ones do that irritate me. So that's not as much of an issue. So let me start with my scale and I'll kind of tell you what I think of this. Number one is the packaging. The tube packaging is pretty easy to apply, easy for travel, and it does a good job protecting most of the ingredients in here as well as the SPF, but it makes it nice for travel because you can just squeeze a little bit out of the pump tube. I love that. And apply it with your hands if you need to, or a sponge. So the packaging is pretty good. So I gave that a thumb up there. The next criteria is alcohol, and this does not contain any denatured alcohol. So there's no issue there. So I gave it a thumb up there. And then the third criteria is fragrance, and this one is very fragrant. Not only does it contain fragrance, it also contains rose flower water, which is pretty high up on the ingredient list, and the fragrance in this one just does not dissipate quickly. It takes a few hours to the point where I don't notice it, and I'm probably a little more sensitive to fragrance than most people, but it definitely took a while to dissipate. So I'm a little bit bummed that they included that, but it would definitely be better without that. So I definitely dinged it there for that. And then the next criteria is where it's manufactured, and this is manufactured in France, so there's no issues there. And then number 5 is the ease of use, and this is pretty easy to use. If you have some slight discoloration or pigmentation issues, this covers it up to a degree, but it's not a foundation, it's a tinted moisturizer. But it's pretty easy to use. And the one thing I did have issues with is I have very dry skin, so a tinted moisturizer in and of itself isn't enough for me. And look at, you can tell how off this color is on my skin tone. Definitely off, and now I can definitely smell that scent. But Lancome tends to have like their signature scent, and definitely has that in this one. But I noticed this applied a little patchy on my skin. And it tended to look more patchy as the day went on. So I'm not sure if this has glycerin in it. Probably as a moisturizer they've included it. But that tended to make the formula in and of itself a little too, I don't know if I say oily, but a little too much to where it just ended up looking patchy on my skin. And since the color is off, I definitely recommend if you're picking this up that you swatch it first. You can tell on my hand how orange that is, and it's not that high up on the color list. There's only a couple lighter colors, but this one definitely just was not a match, and I wasn't able to find it in the store yet when I picked this up, so I had to rely on purchasing online. So definitely try and get this swatched before you spend the money on it. But it it just looked too patchy on me. So, but otherwise it's easy to use, easy to apply. And if you don't have dry skin, you probably won't have that many issues with it. And then number 6 is the antioxidants and pigmentation. And it's definitely highly pigmented for a tinted moisturizer. It's almost as tinted as a lot of other foundations can be. So it definitely is, I would say, more of a medium to full coverage tinted moisturizer. And then in terms of antioxidants, it does contain Ben oil is kind of what the name of it is, but it's an oil that has some good antioxidants and can be very good for dry skin, moisturizing. It also contains glycerin, which is a good emollient, so definitely contains that, and it's definitely pretty pigmented for a tinted moisturizer, and my hand looks very orange. Anyway, so number 7 is animal testing, and Lancome unfortunately does test on animals, so it does not get a thumb up there. Performance, it performs okay. It lasts without creasing for the most part. Would be better with SPF 30, and it definitely has some flaking issues, but overall it performs decently. And also, if you are familiar that YSL and Lancome, they tend to release a lot of products that are the same or very similar. And Lancome, or not Lancome, Yves Saint Laurent has their Touche Eclat All in One Glow Tinted Moisturizer with SPF 23, which sells for $48. And after looking at the ingredients of the two, they're not dupes, but they're very similar. The ingredient list starts out identical, and then about halfway down, things seem to be in a different order. But it uses the same sunblock, the same color chart, very much the same, almost the same packaging. The price on the YSL tinted moisturizer is $48, and this one is $35. But they're kind of sister brands, so I expect that the products are both very, very similar. Same packaging, everything else, same color chart, SPF of 23, which is kind of an odd number to have. So if you're thinking about buying the YSL tinted moisturizer, I recommend that you check this one out first because it's $13 cheaper, and the ingredient list is quite similar. So anyway, just to point that out to anyone else that's kind of interested in that. Anyway, so performance is okay. Price, I gave it a thumb up there. It's a decent price, especially when there's the upper prestige brand that's selling the same, similar, almost the same product for a little bit more. This price is decent, especially when you kind of get a little bit of SPF, some hydration, and coverage all in one. So, and then in terms of number 10, which is the It Factor, I also gave it a thumb up there. It's got a lot of good things going for it, but you're definitely going to want to either use a sunblock underneath, apply a foundation with a sunblock on top of this, or apply a powder that has a sunblock in it, because 23 is not, it's lower than what you should be using on a daily basis. You should be using at least 30 or above. So this doesn't quite hit that, which is a little bit disappointing. But definitely, if you're thinking of purchasing this, swatch this in the store, because look at my hand, and it's one of the lighter colors. So definitely swatch it if at all possible. You don't want to end up having to exchange it or return it. Stuff like that gets to be a pain. So anyway, overall, this scored an 8 out of 10, which is a 2 thumbs up on my scale score. So definitely something worth checking out. Do you guys want to meet Lincoln? Lincoln, come here, duty. This is little Lincoln. He's my other little baby. Lincoln, say hi. He's very high energy. Lincoln. Oh, thank you. He's such a sweet boy. One of my other pooches, so at least you guys got to meet him quickly. His attention span is very short, so that's probably all you're going to get to see. And now he's off to do something else. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. I'm interested if you guys have had a chance to check this out yet or not, and if so, what your thoughts were. And then look at my hands side by side. That's crazy how bad of a match that one is. So anyway, leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Feel free to subscribe if you're not already. I come with at least one new review every day. And check out nobsbeauty.net. Thank you so much, guys. Hi, this is Sarah from No BS Beauty, and I'm proud to offer you one of my first products, and it is a stainless steel makeup palette, and I've been using ones like these for quite a while, and it makes it a lot easier to mix kind of custom foundation shades, custom serums, custom lip colors. You need something like this in your makeup routine to make things a lot easier. And all the profits from it will go to help the channel, which I'm independent and I purchase all the products with my own money. So definitely all of the profits will go so I can continue to bring you good reviews. But, you know, things I like to use are retinol. Retinol is definitely a good thing to use. But sometimes some of them can be a little too strong. So sometimes I like to mix them with other serums. So I'll use this to kind of custom make my retinol at night. So it's a little bit less irritating when you mix it in with something else. Or another thing you can do is mix in a vitamin C. Some of these can be a little oily or greasy, so sometimes it's nice to be able to mix it in with another serum. So I like to use the Clinique one, and I'll mix this in just a little bit because otherwise sometimes it can be a little too oily. And I'll mix it in, and in the morning I'll apply it all over my face before sunscreen. And another good vitamin C serum I like is the Dermadoctor one, but sometimes using the dropper with that can be a little messy, so sometimes I just like to mix just a little bit in with another serum. I love the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Serum, definitely a holy grail of mine. And I like to mix that in with it as well. Or sometimes before I go to bed, if I've got something else going on the next day, I like to mix in a little bit of tanner, self-tanner, but sometimes if you use it alone, it can get a little too orange or a little too dark. So sometimes mixing that in with another serum makes it definitely a lot better and a lot more moisturizing for your skin as well. So definitely something you can use in your serums or your kind of custom make your own skincare routine by using that and mixing up all these products. So definitely something worth considering there. And I also like to use it to mix in some of my custom foundations. So let me show you that too. Another thing I've been using this palette for is mixing and kind of customizing my own foundation. You can almost create a specific color if you have certain foundations that don't mesh well with your skin tone or even your skin texture. You can almost create your own custom foundation. One foundation I love is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro. However, sometimes I can find it to be a little too drying and almost kind of giving you more of a matte finish. So sometimes I'll mix in a little bit of the Josie Mara and Argan Moonstone drops with it and then use it. And it kind of helps kind of lessen the color and kind of give it a little bit more of a glowy look. Another thing I like to use is mixing in sometimes with oil with a foundation, and sometimes that gives you more of a dewy look. So sometimes I'll mix that in with the Dr. Jart, and it helps give you a little bit more of a glow to it. So sometimes mix in just a little bit in, and you definitely want to be careful with what you're mixing just to make sure that the ingredients are compatible, because certain types of foundations don't work well with certain types of other ingredients, but something to consider, definitely. But you can almost create your own custom look. I love this, but sometimes I feel like I need a little bit of a glow to it, so I'll mix in some of my NYX Born to Glow Illuminator with it. So you can definitely do that. Also, Cover FX makes a great, they're custom cover drops, but you can use these to alter the color of any foundation. So this is great to mix that with. Just give it a couple drops there. And then mix that in with another foundation to make it either lighter or darker. The Ordinary Serum Foundation is great, but I found it difficult to get the exact color. So sometimes mixing the other colors works well. Cover FX also has these new glitter drops, so sometimes it's nice to be able to use this to mix in with either a foundation or just to put it on this. And then you can use a brush to either dip it in and apply it as eyeshadow, or dip it in and apply it onto lips as kind of a lipstick cover. So there's definitely some great options, and definitely love some of CoverFX's custom enhancer drops, but you can use this to mix it in with almost any different type of foundation and add a little bit of color here and there. But definitely using this, and if you use a sponge or a beauty blender, you can get that damp and then just use this to dip it in and apply it. It makes it a heck of a lot easier than trying to do it in your hand, or I don't know where else you would even, maybe the lid of another product, but this definitely makes all of that a heck of a lot easier. So it's definitely something worth picking up. And all of the profits from the sales of this palette will go to support my independent reviews. I purchase all the products myself just so I can give you an honest opinion as opposed to somebody that gets the products for free to review. I personally like to purchase them so I can give you my completely objective review without having to feel like I owe a company anything because they gave me something free. So all the profits will go to help support those reviews.